Welcome back to the GSMC College Football Podcast. Today is Thursday, April 10th. And before we get started on DJ Lagway, I just want to remind everyone that we love hearing from you during the show. Whether you've got a burning question, a hot take on the game, or just something you've been dying to share, we're all ears. This show is about keeping the conversation lively and making sure that your voice is a part of the mix. And if you really want to make sure that your comment or question gets noticed, why not use Super Chat? Just hit the $sign below the bottom of the chat box, send in your message, and it's guaranteed to get featured on the show. Plus, it's a great way to support our channel. We're so grateful for each and every one of you who joins us here. Your support makes all the difference. So let's keep the conversation going, and together we can make this show even better than ever. So now, we're going to discuss a little bit about Florida. We're going south, and what's going on with DJ Lagway. So, DJ Lagway, obviously, 5-star recruit. This was a big get for Florida. They really have struggled at the quarterback position kind of in the past decade or so. Obviously had some good individual seasons. Anthony Richardson had a solid season there. But after that, Graham Mertz was their starter for a minute. Just hasn't really had great play at the quarterback position in a while. So DJ Lagway, 5-star recruit, true freshman last year, played in a lot of games for Florida. And he became their starter late in the season. So he was playing really well. He had a solid year, but he hurt his hamstring late in the second quarter against Georgia. They were leading that game 13-6 at the time. And after that, they kind of got blown out. All the momentum was taken away. And so he hurt his hamstring. He's still dealing with that nagging hamstring, but he's also dealing with a shoulder injury apparently. And we don't really know what exactly this shoulder injury is. It's been pretty hush-hush from the team. Apparently surgery was on the table for him, but they ruled that out as if he had surgery, he probably would miss the entire 2025 season. So they're going with what was described as a more holistic approach. Going to really try and go for physical therapy, just rehab, strength and conditioning, kind of building that shoulder back up. But this is something that's been very quiet out of LSU or Florida. You haven't really heard it for a long time. And apparently medical staff, they're optimistic about his recovery. He's aiming for a return at some point in the season. They think he's probably going to be able to play at the start of the year. But this is concerning. The fact that he hasn't thrown an entire pass all spring practice, we don't really know what's going on with him, and he's only been able to hand the ball off the entire time during spring. They're almost over with spring practice, and he hasn't done anything yet. So Florida doesn't really have anybody else besides DJ Lagway right now at this position. His two backups are Aidan Warner, who's a walk-on, who actually played in some of their games last season after Lagway was hurt, as well as one-time blue chip Harrison Bailey. But Harrison Bailey has played for this is his fourth different university, fourth different program that he's playing for. So there's really not a lot of experience. Harrison Bailey also has only started one game ever. It was a bowl game. It was a bowl game for Louisville, I believe. But that's the only time he's ever started a game. So even DJ Lagway doesn't have a lot of experience. So if DJ Lagway's out, Florida is really in a tough spot. And I think the big thing here to see is whether Florida goes out and gets a quarterback in the spring portal. Because I think if they go do that, then that's an indication that DJ Lagway is really in serious issues, and their season's going to be tough to look at. They don't know what exactly is going on with him. Florida also, they had a solid year last year. They were 5-5 up to a certain point, won their last 3 games of the season, beat Ole Miss at home. That was a big upset. And they ended up 8-5 on the year. So they had a successful year. They're kind of a dark horse candidate for the SEC this season if, Lagway improved. And all of their 5 losses last season were against top 25 teams at a certain point in the season. So it wasn't like, they were losing to Louisiana Monroe. They lost to all top 25 opponents. This was a good Florida team. They just had a really tough schedule. So, and that a lot of the reason for their success was DJ Lagway. Obviously, he struggled as a freshman early on, but he grew in confidence, grew in his accuracy, and he was just able to be a really solid quarterback by the end of the year for them. This is a kid that was probably a Heisman dark horse pick for certain people. He still might play, he still might be okay, but the fact that we don't know, the fact that his status is kind of up in the air when he's such an important part of this Florida team is really concerning. So let's look at if he is out and kind of what happened at the end of last season when he was hurt. Florida really had to adjust their running game, or their offensive strategy, relying more on their running game. Their backups obviously aren't the highest quality caliber backups. They, Aidan Warner walk-on, Harrison Bailey hasn't really done anything. But so the team is going to return. Running backs Jadan Baugh had a really good, strong, true freshman season, as well as former JUCO back Jacoby Jackson. These are two guys that are probably going to carry the load at running back, be a really strong focal point of this offense, especially if DJ Lagway is out. And we're going to see how this run game goes. It wasn't really a strong run game last season. They have the opportunity to be better this year, obviously returning two strong rushers for them. But we're going to see what happens with DJ Lagway. This is going to be a big storyline for Florida, for the SEC, because depending on what happens with him, that's how Florida's season is going to go. If Lagway's hurt, Florida's going to have a really tough time competing in the SEC. You might start hearing Billy Napier on the hot seat again. He's obviously had a lot of pressure in Gainesville during this time. But if DJ Lagway's healthy, Florida's right back in there as a dark horse SEC contender. They're a really talented squad, and Lagway is a really strong quarterback for them. He's a guy that they go as Lagway goes. I do think it's a little concerning that we really haven't heard anything coming out of Florida, coming out of Gainesville. Billy Napier kind of just emphasized the importance of player health, of the need for depth on the roster, but he didn't really touch on what's going on with DJ Lagway. He didn't really talk about it that much, and to me that's a little concerning. I also think the fact that they're trying to do this holistic approach to his rehab, that's optimistic, but it also, the fact that surgery was even on the table that's definitely a little concerning for them. I think the fact that he has two different injuries as well, not only the shoulder, but the fact that he's still dealing with that nagging hamstring injury, that's, I think, almost more concerning, considering that hamstring was hurt, in November. But he's still kind of dealing with it. He's still dealing with the outcomes, the effects of that hamstring injury. That's a little concerning. Florida will go as DJ Lagway goes. That's just how their season's going to go, and that's how that program is built. They're built around him. They were built around him coming in. That was their big-time recruit 2 years ago. Florida will go as DJ Lagway goes. I know I've said it a couple times, but that's really what I believe. That's really what's going to happen with this program. I think a big thing here is roster depth, the necessity to just have a really strong roster around him. They really don't have a good backup right now. And also just the idea of injury prevention, of strategies being implemented to reduce just kind of injuries occurring during the game, as well as this is a mental health thing too. Apparently DJ Lagway has had some issues just recovering from his injury and kind of overcoming the mental hoops that such an injury has, and that's a big thing that a lot of athletes deal with. It's a confidence issue. It's, you're coming back from, you weren't 100%, and do you still have it? Can you still do what you used to do? Can you still affect the game at the same level? That's a big thing here with DJ Lagway. And this is a storyline we're going to follow throughout the spring into the fall, because Florida could be an SEC contender. It just depends on what's going to happen here at the quarterback position. Right now, we are going to take our second break of the show. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about ACC football, their two big powerhouses in Florida State, Clemson, and what's going on there with them. So we'll be back shortly on the GSMC College Football Podcast.